Have you ever thought about how the story we tell around a math problem can change how we solve it? Well, today, we're going to deconstruct a pretty unique 6th grade math lesson that suggests the story is just as important as the numbers themselves.
So let's start with a question you probably didn't expect to see in a math explainer. What does Nehemiah's wall have to do with math? Believe it or not, the lesson we're looking at makes a direct connection. It compares solving a subtraction problem step by step to Nehemiah rebuilding a wall, brick by brick. It's a really unusual way to frame a math concept, so let's dig in and see how it works.
Okay, so at the core of this lesson is a classic math headache, subtracting a negative number. For a lot of students, this idea can feel super abstract, kind of confusing, and this lesson has a very specific plan for getting over that hurdle.
And here it is, the kind of problem we're talking about. I mean, just look at it. -8 minus -4, all those minus signs sitting next to each other can just look like visual noise. It's not immediately obvious how you'd even start to picture that on a number line. This is exactly the kind of confusion the lesson is designed to cut through. So to slice right through that confusion, this lesson doesn't mess around with a bunch of abstract theory. Nope, it gives students a direct, almost mechanical solution, a simple algorithm they can memorize and just apply every single time.
And this right here, this is the engine that makes the whole lesson run. The core rule is that when you see those two negative signs side by side, they basically combine to become a positive. It's a simple little trick that transforms a confusing problem into something way more manageable.
Let's just put that in plain English. Subtracting a negative number is exactly the same thing as adding a positive one. That's it. That's the key takeaway. Once a student really gets that, the whole concept just clicks into place.
Okay, so the theory sounds simple enough, but how does this rule actually perform in the wild? Let's walk through the exact examples that the lesson itself provides.
Right off the bat, we're not just looking at numbers on a page. The problem is framed as a little story. We have a character, Elijah. He's starting at -8, and his job is to subtract -4.
And here's where we see that algorithm do its thing. The problem starts as -8 minus -4, but then you apply the rule. The two negatives become a positive, and the problem instantly transforms into the much friendlier -8 plus 4. The answer? -4. Easy as that.
Now, to make sure the idea really sticks, the lesson gives us another round. This time, it's Joseph. He's starting at -5, and he has to subtract -3. It's the same setup, just different numbers to help reinforce the process.
And would you look at that? It's the exact same move. -5 minus -3 becomes -5 plus 3, which gives us -2. By repeating these steps, the lesson drills that algorithm in, turning it into a reliable tool that students can use to solve what looks like a really tricky problem.
Okay, so we've got the mechanics down, but this is where the lesson gets really interesting. It's not just teaching a math trick, it's embedding that math inside a very specific moral and narrative framework.
Take a look at this comparison. On one side, you've got your standard mathematical tools, right? Number lines, algorithms, the rule itself. But then look at the other side. This is the lesson's unique fingerprint. You've got the Nehemiah analogy, a Bible verse, and biblical character names. The math is clearly being taught through a very particular worldview.
And here is that Bible verse from Proverbs. Its inclusion is definitely not an accident. It's there to draw a line between the diligence you need for math and a bigger principle of faith. The message seems to be that the commitment it takes to solve this problem is the same kind of commitment that leads to success in life.
So after all is said and done, the lesson wraps up with a final challenge. It sent students home with a few problems designed to really make sure they've got this down. And if you look closely at these problems, you can see just how intentional the design is. The first 3 problems are all about practicing the new, difficult concept. But then, check out the last 2 with Elijah and Mary. They switch back to subtracting positive numbers, which is a review of an older skill. It's a really smart way to make sure students practice the new algorithm without forgetting the basics.
When you pull it all apart, this lesson plan is a perfect case study in how teaching is never just about the facts and figures. It kind of forces us to ask a much bigger question, not just about math, but about pretty much anything we learn. How does the story we choose to wrap around a subject fundamentally change the subject itself? It's really something to think about.